Welcome, everybody, to the Mansfield Buzz.
Welcome to Mansfield Buzz with Jordan and Hurdy. Local business stories, let's dive in early. Jordan asks the questions, brings stories to light. Hurdy runs the tech, keeps production tight. Build trust in a town, discover and explore hidden gems and stores you never heard before. Community connection, that's what we're about. Tune in, join us, see what Mansfield's all about.
Well, welcome, everybody. It's a special edition on Tuesday. So, for those of you that think we're on Thursday, yes, we will be right straight up at 2 o'clock at our normal time. But we had a chance to do a special one. And let me just back up a little bit. For all those that sent me emails going, where were you guys last week? Well, here's what happened. Okay. Nothing on our end. Apparently, a lot of people use the Google service cloud services for their streaming to run their stuff through, and they went down and had a glitch last week, and they were offline for a good, what, 6 or 7 hours. It affected some big businesses and ours, so we couldn't stream. So that's why. So stop it. No more emails, please. No more 1-star ratings, please. Okay? Wasn't our fault. But anyhow, make a long story short, we are here at the Mansfield Buzz, and yes, we're doing a special edition of Linda Conrad today. We'll be with her in just 1 minute. She's going to talk to us about canine behavior specialist, which she is. And I've known Linda a long time, and Jordan's been working with her on some stuff. So he's going to be asking her some questions today, which I'm really excited to hear the answers to. I've been through her stuff, and little Simba, crazy Simba over here, loves her. You should see Simba, Jordan, when she walks in. Simba knows exactly who Linda is. 10 other people can walk in and he forgets, but when Linda walks in, Simba knows who Linda is. So anyhow, welcome to Mansfield Buzz. This is your host, Hurdy Burke, Jordan Huff. And we are want you guys to do me a favor. If you happen to be listening today, make sure you click the thumbs up underneath there and give us a couple likes. If you want to comment and ask questions, please do so in the chat. We'd love that. But also, we're on YouTube at Mansfield TX Buzz. Make sure you subscribe. Send that to a couple friends. We are at 173 subscribers now, Jordan, and we're averaging 2.7 thousand views every 28 days and about anywhere between 29 and 50 hours watch time, which is really cool. Consider we missed a week, but yours truly provided some shorts so that to tie up the channel a little bit until we got to this week. All right, so we're going to go into our icebreaker section and we're going to talk about our sponsor, and we'll be right back. Hey, for those of you, have you ever had a tax problem? Have you ever gotten an envelope in the mail that said, oh my God, you owe X amount of dollars, you weren't expecting it. And so because we live in the region in Egypt called denial, we put it in a drawer. Don't put that letter in a drawer. Call these guys, Liberty Tax Defenders. We are Liberty Tax Defenders Repair and Tax Resolution Firm. We work every day to help hardworking Americans keep more of their money out of the hands of overzealous bureaucrats. And they help clients solve tax problems. And they also do CPA work, and they do CFO consulting, tax preparation, accounting services. They've saved clients over $2 million. It says $1 million, but it's $2 million. And assess tax penalties. So if you need to get a hold of them, 817-995-5008 or libertytaxdefenders.com, which you'll find the link in the description below, all linked and ready to go straight to their website. So Jordan, Linda, welcome to a special edition of the Mansfield Buzz on Tuesday. Jordan, all yours, buddy.
Nice.
Let me get rid of it. Let me remove this for you. Okay, there you go.
It's Taco Tuesday, but with the buzz.
Yes, it is. Definitely is Taco Tuesday.
Nice. Well, Linda, thank you for coming on. This is exciting because Last time you were here, I was out on vacation, so I could not
I
interview
know.
you.
The one day you missed.
I know. It is the one day I've missed. It is the only day I've missed.
Yep.
So I'm so glad you're back. We're going to have an awesome conversation. You and I have gotten to know each other, and I've gotten to know your methodology pretty well. And it's pretty remarkable for those that haven't gotten to see this, just the command you have over dogs is just borderline hilarious because it quickly shatters the illusion
You
of.
say holy areas?
Oh, it's so funny because we all think we have like control over our animals.
Yeah.
I think we're good owners, and you walk in, and then those dogs like shape up right away, and we're like, "Oh, right, I know nothing."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens.
But this show is going to help us tackle that, to get people some baseline knowledge of what it's like to, as I tell my son, to speak dog.
That's it.
Because it's really one of the things that I think you do that is quite different than any other training that I've seen or experienced, is the emphasis you have on communicating in a way that makes sense to the animals. That is quite unique.
I think I was born with that.
Yep.
Seriously. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a gift.
Yep.
So I wanted to get you started a little bit with just good old-fashioned philosophy of your training, and then some
Okay.
fun myth busting, because I know you well. I know you love to bust some myths, especially when you're the kind of person, if you see it, you call it. We have a lot of very interesting philosophies and myths in dog training. So hopping on to myth busting and philosophies, what is the biggest myth in dog training that drives you absolutely nuts?
Oh my gosh.
Shock collars.
Yeah, I mean, that's not really a myth. I would say the way that we interact with our dogs, right off the bat, we want to love on them and smooch on them and talk to them in baby talk. And I was on the phone with a friend last night, and she was trying to move her dogs around for coming inside or something. And I told her, just shut up and put the dogs where you need them. You keep talking and having conversation with them, and they don't understand a word. They're trying to figure out which word, which is the command, which is the praise, which is, so they're totally confused. And so they just give up, and they're all over the place. And that's probably one of the biggest, is we put too much of the feelings, the human emotions onto animals, and animals in general, but our dogs, and they don't understand any of it. They're like little aliens in space, and they're dropped here, but they don't speak our language. So we have to learn how to teach them how to accept certain things. And it's not words in general, it's tones, and it's usually single words. It's not a whole bunch of them, because we think our dogs are smart, but they're a very simple creature. And that's where we get hung up.
I love that. And I didn't realize it was so bad. It's funny, I would have thought myself as a smart individual, and I'm actually just as about average as they come, because I am guilty of talking to my dog, smooching them, just totally.
That's okay at a certain point, when that's solely what we want to do, because then that's our affirmation, that's our emotional, that we have to, pet all over them, and that's affection and all of that. But that's our emotion. That has nothing to do with the dog. So if you want to take time and do that, I tell people, do it, but don't do it during training or where you're trying to get a dog to do something, follow through on a command, any of that. We just have to learn to pretty much zip it and just get them to do it.
So let me ask you a question. What do you think so many dog owners are confused or misled when it comes to training? Because I think a lot of people think that training is going to solve the problem.
Mhm.
And I've seen it in so many different ways. They ship off their dogs to some sort of camp, or they go to some pet store with a big name to go do like the group classes. So they go to, there's all these different ones, but that doesn't seem to work. And what do you think so many people just get it wrong?
Well, number one is marketing. If you're a really good marketer out there, you can get people to do just about anything. Okay. So when you come to group classes, or the shipping off is usually a board and train, those types of things, they're okay um, in a certain way. They're fine, except it's the way in which we train our dogs, and most of the training is actually the human. So if 80% of the training is teaching the human, then shipping a dog off, unless you're bringing your pillow and your blanket, what good is that going to do?
No.
Because you're paying for the money. And let me tell you, I've seen or heard or whatever, been involved with, where people will ship their dogs off from anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 months, depending on how good that person was at marketing their stuff. And that's pretty much it. I mean, it's not like it's really big stuff that they're doing. Now, hunting dogs are a different type of thing, but we have to remember, when these dogs go out, if they're not with you, and I'm talking about the owner, then those dogs are learning, whoever the trainer is, they're learning their tones, their methods, their rules in their house or kennel. And then when the person comes, whether you have stopping points along the way and people are allowed to come visit their dogs, which I don't recommend at all. It's kind of like camp. And if you always let the parents pop in, things go all haywire, and the dogs will regress, children regress. It's that whole separation thing again. But if we have all of these people sending these dogs out, then when they get them back, the trainer's already basically spent their time on the dog. Yes, they will spend a little bit of time on the humans, but it's not enough. It's not enough. And you have to remember that a dog is not trained. A dog needs the maintenance work. You've got to keep up with the maintenance. So if the human doesn't learn it, and like I said, it's more than 80%, if they don't learn it, the dog's not going to keep up with it, because we're the ones that have to be consistent. And it takes us the time to learn it. So some people I can teach in a matter of minutes. Now, me training a dog myself, I can do it anywhere from 20 minutes to 2 hours, all the way through. Now, my average people do it 4 weeks. I had a lady just a few weeks ago complete training in 2 to 3 weeks. She was on it. She was very militant. And it's how good you are, that's how good the dog's going to be. So group classes are okay. You can tell them a lot of things, like crating, for instance. Mm-hmm. When you teach crating, I can have a crate at a group class and teach them. But when you're in your own home, it works a little bit easier, because you're actually fixing the situation right then and there. It's not like somebody learning it and then if they do it wrong, or I'm not there to hear them, because remember, it's tone, timing, and technique. If the tone is off and they're trying to get their dog to do something and it's not working, they're dead in the water until I make sure that their tone is correct. Then the dogs will automatically do it 100%. And I show that over and over. But if you're learning something in class and then you take it home, I've got to know exactly what that scenario is. I have to see it in my brain to explain it to you how to do it step by step, because it's literally just like that.
So I'm going to throw in a story here.
Uh-oh.
I wish that a nickel for every no followed by a yes that Linda taught us, I'd be rich. Secondly, Linda, I have a little story to you. I don't want to interrupt the flow, but
Okay.
I have to tell you this. About a month and a half ago, Jordan and I were on a podcast on Thursday, and we got off, and he's sweating bullets. He's
Uh-oh.
sweating, and he's talking to him, and he goes, Herdy, he goes, I go to Home Depot today. I am nervous as heck.
It's because he knows I'm going to bust his butt.
He was going, I don't know if we can handle this, but hey, it's okay. By the way, we all went through the same thing. So don't feel like the Lone Ranger. But I didn't want to forget that story, because the fun thing about this behavior change that you put through people through apart with their dog is, what's cool is it can be fun too. And I think that needs to be thrown in. It's not hardcore, everything's rough. It's a learning curve, and it can be fun. So you go into it with fun. That was my point. But anyway, I'd tell a story on Jordan, because he tells stories on me all the time.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Okay. And that's very typical. And I get it. I come off sometimes like a real hard ass, okay? And I don't mean to. I'm a very nice person. You guys know this.
You are.
You know this. But when you hire me and you pay me, I'm not just going to BS around. We want to get this fixed. And if you're not serious about it, which unfortunately I've had clients that they get to a point and they're like, oh, I'm out. Mm-hmm. I can't do this anymore. It's too hard. They're not the leaders. Okay. They are not the leaders. They're definitely the followers. And they usually, when I go into someone's home, I know how hierarchy is set. I know the dynamics of the household within 5 minutes of me being there.
Yeah.
Okay? So I know that if they can't maintain children, if they can't maintain other pets in it, which they learn, and let me tell you, a lot of this switches over to the children. Mm-hmm. And it's really kind of fun, and I want to make it fun for them. But when I see this stuff, I know it's like, okay, this is going to be a harder road to travel on this one. But you know what? It's fun, and I get a kick out of it after 50 years. And right. The dogs, when they can see the dogs go, hello, okay, I'll do that for you. Thank you, and follow through on it. It's the when I leave them alone and they have to maintain that. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, if we have to skip a week or whatever, humans start getting soft. Okay. We start getting soft and we start forgetting things and we start going back to our old habits and all of that. And that's where we get screwed up. Mm-hmm. And I try to explain that it's consistency. And if you do it just the way, exactly how I tell you, it will work 100% every single time. That's why I do for the lifetime of the dog. I had somebody call me yesterday that I haven't seen in, probably 8 months. And it was a quick conversation. She wanted to know, but in that conversation, I found a couple of other oopses that she had been doing. And we fixed it right away. And she's like, okay, got it. I'm back on track.
Well, let's not get too ahead because I'm going to reveal these as we go. Gotcha. But going back to the psychology and philosophy of dog training, one thing I wanted to ask you is, what do you wish people knew about dog training before they start Googling? Or I guess in this case now, asking ChatGPT about dog training.
Oh, gosh. I haven't even tried that. I'm scared to. I guess that training is not a end all. I mean, it's just got to continue. It's like raising a child. Dogs are 2-year-old children. And so when you think that you've got it handled, something else is going to happen. So it's always being aware, always being the parent, not the friend. When I teach in the schools and stuff, I ask the teachers, Do you want to be a teacher or do you want to be a substitute? It's exactly how you're going to be seen, whether it's children or a dog. You've got to have the authority. You have to be the leader. And that's kind of where that goes.
And that is a perfect segue to our next section.
There you go.
Owner training and leadership. And that part, I need to underscore how important it is. I don't think I understood what it truly was to be a leader to a dog.
Mm-hmm.
The leadership concept of it was a little bit lost, especially with what you talked about earlier with putting human attributions to your dog. Like you project emotions and logic and reasoning and even body language to what they're doing. And now I realize that they're just totally manipulating you. And which is really funny. So to give our audience a little bit of context, I have 2 dogs who are litter mates. Now, I didn't know this was a bad thing to do. I didn't even know there was a thing until Lynn asked me, it's like, oh God, don't tell me you have litter mates. I'm like, yes, I do. Why is that a bad thing?
And every trainer will go, ding, ding, ding.
Like, oh no, you didn't. It's like, I didn't know. So I have brother and sister, both from the same mom and dad. And also the male is this fluffy but gigantic long-haired German Shepherd. He's a German Shepherd mix, but one looks more German Shepherd than the other one. She's the girl. She's a little bit smaller, although she's pretty big. She just looks small in comparison, but I mean, she's probably like 80, 90 pounds, and Georgie's probably about 120 now. So just big animals, and the girl is the difficult one. I thought she would be, her being the smaller one, I thought maybe Georgie was the one in charge and she's, kind of like following the second in command. No. She is smart. She is conniving. She is manipulative, and she's adorable. So
and she's your dog.
She had me wrapped around her finger.
Ah.
I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
She would come up to me and just curl up on me and give me this little what I thought were dog hugs. Again, give an attribution to animals, like dogs are not primates. They don't hug.
Right.
But here I am interpreting a hug, and then Lena comes and was like, no, she's just established dominance over you. She's in charge. I'm like, no.
Yeah, boo-boo face, part of that too, just so you know.
So yes, and it started just nipping that. At first I didn't even want to. It felt terrible. It's just like, oh God, I'm being so mean. But I started addressing that, and the new Georgie started behaving so well. It was automatic. He just started acting so well. Mind you, not her. She still acts up. She needs a lot more leadership, but Georgie just fixed overnight by just severing that dominance tie with her, which was what opened my
she was running him.
Yeah,
she was running him and the family. Okay. And so what happens with the litter mate syndrome is they never get to be their own dogs, their own personality. One is always watching over the other, and the other one's always being bossed around. It's like a little brother-sister type thing, okay? And the little brother being the younger one, he always wants to follow the sister around. And granted, I didn't have brothers and sisters like that, but my best friend did. And her little brother used to follow us everywhere, and it drove us nuts. And so the whole thing is, too, is if you had the male dog out and the female was still in the crate, they usually come unglued. And it's not because what we think is, oh, they want out of the crate. No, they're bossing the other dog because they don't have any control of them now. And so they're doing whatever they can. Once we establish hierarchy, and that's where hierarchy comes in, once we establish that, that all goes away. And you just have to maintain the leadership because there is an actual hierarchy that is listed. And
leadership point, I want to ask you something that happens. I mean, I was doing it. I bet you this happens all the time.
Okay. Yeah.
How does the average dog owner accidentally cause more problems without realizing it? Because it falls in that leadership thing.
Their name is
They want all dogs to be best friends. Okay. And it doesn't work like that. Most dogs are not pack oriented. You've got certain breeds, Basenjis, Beagles, a lot of the hounds and stuff. When I had Beagles, they would go flying out. They'd look at me, flip me off, and just keep going. They could care less. Okay. But most breeds of dogs nowadays are very companion oriented. We've made them into our companions. So we're the most important thing. That's why when people call me, they've either lost a dog or they want to add a new dog to their home, and they call me to find out what breed they should get. And when they say, we want to add a dog, I'm like, why? Okay. And a lot of their answers are because we think our dog needs a friend, or we're gone so many hours and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. Most dogs could care less if there's another dog in the household. And a lot of dogs, because, getting into the sleep regimen, dogs need to sleep 14 to 16 hours a day. When you have another dog, their sleeping schedules might be off until you set that. Once you set it, you're pretty good to go. But there's all different reasons. If you have a different breed and they're reacted by certain things, they're going to keep the other dog up. If you allow and you're not the leader and you allow your dog, this is one of the questions I had yesterday, you allow your dog to follow you all over the house. Don't do that. You're keeping your dog up and you're allowing them. They're not, oh, mommy, I want to follow you because I love you, which is what we are thinking, right? I can't be without you. It's, what are you doing? Where are you going? Why are you going in there? I need to find out. It's a controlling thing. And I know that a lot of people don't believe in, oh, my dog controls me. Dogs are set on hierarchy from the minute they're born into the minute they die. And this is what they do. When you see dogs playing, they're not playing in a way that we think of playing. They're actually controlling each other. And it will go on their entire lives. And we have to, this is where the difference is with trainers. You either understand a dog's brain and understand all the different breeds. And I mean every breed, not just one or two. And then you have to flip that over into how we see it and explain it to the humans that it's nothing like. It's not that feeling, that human emotion, any of that. So, yeah.
And now, on that note, I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about the leadership aspect, because I find that a lot of people get it wrong. And leadership, it's different than dominance. But I feel like us as not professionals in the dog training world, like, see leadership as dominance. You got to be the alpha. Right, like it's always like dominating over the rest of the dogs. It's not the case.
Yeah. We have a tendency to have buzzwords, and we've got certain things that back those buzzwords up. Being a leader is just showing the way. Okay, it's for them to look up to you. And they need a leader. If they don't have a leader, they're going to take that position and they don't do well at it. Okay. And that's where you have dogs that run the households. And because there is no leader, I get hundreds of calls that my dog is doing this or my dog is doing that. Well, I know right away, first thing I have to do is set hierarchy in that household. And that's setting leadership. And once you do that, to maintain it, it's just, instead of asking your dog or babying your dog or repeating yourself 15 times, come, or sit, or any of that kind of stuff, we have to, it's just like with our children. We give them one chance. If they don't do it, we go get them or we have them do it. We have to show them that this is what it is, or we lessen ourselves. And then they're like, you didn't mean it. You didn't mean it. So leadership doesn't mean you have to be loud. It doesn't mean you have to be mean to them. It doesn't mean any of that. It's just giving commands and making sure that they follow through. And if they don't, you show them and then you praise them for it after they complete it.
That's a big one. That's
You.
that's one of the things that I bringing back the girl cuteness, right? She's the difficult she's the difficult one out of the group. And she when we were going through the training, she finally did the kennel in and out, walking around, exercise correctly, and I patted her to congratulate her. And the way that dog looked at me was,
woohoo!
it's hard to describe. Just this look of like, do I like, I did well. Like it's as if it was the first time I had ever like actually acknowledged her. Which to me is wild because I've petted and kissed and done all this like human.
But it's all our affection. Okay.
Yeah.
They don't know affection. They know it as praise.
Yes.
So if you're giving it at the wrong time, just them breathing is praise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And that's one of the problems we have is we touch our dogs way too much. And let me tell you, my clients come unglued. The first thing they want to ask is, well, when can I hug my dog? When can I kiss my dog? I'm like, hey, you know what? If you're not in the midst of training or something's not going on, you want to lay down on your living room floor and make out with your dog, have at it. Okay? Have at it. But don't do it during a training we get frustrated with ourselves when dogs don't do things and we start blurting out all of this stuff. Sit down, quiet, all of these.
Dance. It becomes a dance.
Yeah. And your dog is like, which one do you want? Okay. And so they're very simple-minded. Again, they're like 2-year-old children. They have a 4-second attention span, and we've got to load that 4 seconds because otherwise this is where we go into the front brain, hind brain. They go back to hind brain, which is instinct. And then you've lost them. That's a dog that we always compare husbands to where you guys, you don't want to listen or whatever. That's all hind brain. Yeah. And so it's just that instinct, they're running off of instinct, and instinct, of course, is what breed they are, what they were bred to do, how old they are, and what sex they are. That all plays. We don't change instinct. Those dogs are born with that. And this is where a lot of the problems lie, is a lot of trainers out there that can't get instant results like I do. They are trying to train hind brain. And it's not going to happen because the dogs will not retain it.
So I was going to tell you a story, Linda, about Simba, since you are a trainer. And that is, when somebody comes to the door now, all we have to do is say kennel. He runs straight in, lays down, and waits for us to shut the door. And when we eat, he goes to the kennel because he knows he's not allowed to be around us when we're eating. So we say kennel. He goes in, lays down patiently. So
nice.
Just to let you know, that's pretty cool. Awesome. Now the other 99% of behavior is no, I'm messing around. Now, 2 questions for you on the leadership thing and the training thing that I thought of. That is there can a canine be trained at any time? Does it have to be just a puppy, or can you come in and work with a dog does it matter on age? Okay, I want to make sure people knew that, because they might think that if I don't catch them early, then there's no hope, right?
No.
Okay.
How that works is, if I have puppies, I start my puppies from the minute they're born. Okay, I teach. This is where a lot of times I'll go in and teach breeders how to deal with it. For instance, if you have a bunch of puppies in a litter and they're in a pen, I just talked to a lady the other day with golden retrievers. And I said, the last thing you want to do is go in that pen and have those puppies jumping all over you. And what's the first thing when we go look at a puppy do we want to do? Sit down on the floor and let them climb all over us. So puppies set hierarchy between 6 weeks and 16 weeks and in their litter. And it will change numerous times. However, if we go in there and we let them climb all over us, we're teaching them that we're beneath them. Okay. They're going to mouth us. I get these calls all the time, and you see on Facebook. And I mean, every time I scroll, it's my dog mouths me. We have a puppy. It bites our kids. We have this, they chew, they do all this. It's because between 6 and 16 weeks, we get our puppies at what, 8, 9, 10 weeks old, smack dab in the middle of it, right? It's not set yet. They do not understand. They don't speak whatever, English, Spanish, I don't care what it is. They don't speak human. And so what happens is we take them out of that world, we bring them into our world, and then they chase the kids around the house, and they think, and we think, because we're told that it will pass, they will grow out of it. No, they won't. It just becomes, this is where you start going to the treat training, and you start Googling, and you start doing all this stuff. And I'm telling you, it's scary, half of the stuff that is out there. But that's, again, that's marketing. They're out there doing that to get paid to do something. Okay. Gotcha. We all market. It's how we do it. But when you're being dishonest about it, or you don't really know what you're doing, that's when these people are spending so much money on it, and it becomes just a cluster.
Gotcha.
So back to when you were talking about the leadership and the dogs, back to the breeders. When I teach them, when I walk in on a litter of puppies, they all scatter. And people, the first thing when I tell them that, I look at their face and they go, oh, she's mean to them or something. No, their tails are wagging. They're having a good old time, but they know I have set boundaries. And that's where that hula hoop or that boundary, it's your area. Okay. They can be invited in, but they should never invade. So when we're talking about that, it's your distance of your arms is your hula hoop. It's your space. You don't get puppies that come in and nip all over you. You don't get those things. It's squashed immediately. When you demand that this is your space, those dogs go, okay. And they wait quietly until you invite them into you. And then you can give them all the attention that you want. That's where the touching and the loving and the kissing and all of that comes in. But until then, they need to know these are all the small little things that you can do to make yourself a leader. It doesn't have to be verbally. Most of my dogs learn. I mean, if I come in the house, they know immediately to back up. If they're out, they know to back up from the door. They do not crowd me. Okay. And if I come out of a room and I'm going somewhere, if there's a dog in the way, I don't step over my dogs. It's like the parting of the Red Sea. They all know where I'm at. They pay attention. They do not follow me, but they know if I'm coming, oh crap, I got to get out of the way because here comes mom. She's carrying a basket or groceries or whatever. And they just move. I don't have to say anything to them. That's because funny. I've done it enough and I'm consistent that they know just by body language. So
that's a useful one too. Going back to the giant one, Georgie, this dude is standing up, he's as tall as I am. So he lays down, he blocks the entire hallway. Could be the whitest point in the house and he still blocks the whole thing. It's like, no, dude. Like the back. Just back. No,
yeah. And then after a while, you won't even have to say that.
They just never
that's
do.
Where we try to put a word with, some type of command that we're doing, so we can, so we can do it. Because sometimes you can't talk, or or vice versa. Mm-hmm. So that's where we always want that double in there.
I was going to ask you about a light bulb moment with a owner when that you've experienced when they finally get it. But I was going to add my own, and I was telling you this the other day when I was outside with the dogs, or neighbors' dogs just are super reactive, and they're always, we come out, especially with the dogs.
I love how you said the word reactive and not aggressive.
Yeah, because I know better now. So we come out, they just start barking. And my dogs have been pretty good at just ignoring them. They just don't engage. They just ignore them.
That's great.
But we have the fence divided because we have a pool, so you got to have that double fence. Mm-hmm. So we have the area of the pool that has the big yard, and they know to ignore it there. But there's the driveway section that has the pool, so they can't get through there. So it's just through the garage. It's literally connected, but to them, it's a completely new space. So I have a harder time getting my dogs not to react in the driveway
Okay.
when they come in by. However, we were there and they started barking, and I just didn't even think about it. Just I know Georgie, the big one, just kind of like perked up and is like, "Oh, I'm going to go show him who's boss." And I just made I go leave it, and as I start walking by, he's just like, "Oh, okay," and then just started going through the garage, and I was like, "Wow, that worked extremely well."
Yeah.
Hadn't really practiced the
That's
leave it
sure.
command.
Yeah.
But the tone and just like the tone just did. I mean, I could have probably said potato the same way,
Exactly.
and it would have been the same result, just potato. Like, oh, okay, sorry. But it finally for me it clicked. It's like tone, like that tone. They don't speak human, but
Number one on my 3 T's is tone. Yeah.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that. I was working with a young gal up in Denton. She was fostering a dog, and she weighed about, I don't know, maybe 100 pounds. She was 22 and she was a wrestler for the Olympics. And she was going to college up in Denton. Cutest little thing. And she had this dog that was pretty powerful. She was a little pitty mix. And she could not, I had to have her stand there and yell at herself or whatever you want to call it. And her nose, she didn't even know how to say no. And I just had to constantly, and it was funny because even her commands were not monotone.
Wow.
And once she did it, and once it actually went through and the dog did it, instead of her constantly repeating, the dog, she's like, "Oh my God, you're right." And I
Yeah.
even when you're not with your dog, practice your tones. I mean, I automatically, after 50 years, I just do it. It doesn't even, I don't even know I'm doing it. Just like you, that's just what happens. That's what I want to see in everybody. And it's how my example is, we get into our cars every single day and start them up and drive off. Okay. But there's steps that we have to take in order to be able to do that. So we unlock the car, we open the door, we get in, we close the door, we put our seatbelts on, and we put our foot on the brake in order to either push the button or turn the key to start the car. Okay. If you didn't, do we think about every single one of those steps when we get in our cars? No, we just get in and do it. Okay. But if we were to do one of those things out of order, we either would be driving off with the door open, or we wouldn't have our seatbelt on, or we wouldn't be able to start the vehicle because we didn't put our foot on the brake.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so that's what I want dog training to be, that's why I try to make it as simple as possible, because with us even going to seminars and all of those things, we only take a fraction of what we've learned in those seminars and can apply it when we leave. Dog training is exactly the same way. And that's why I build. I start with the basics and we build. And that's why there will be things we can't cover, everything that's going to happen in you or your dog's life. And so that's why I do the lifetime training, because things will come up that you just need to call me, email me, whatever, text me and find out, explain to me what's going on. And I can pretty much tell you by you knowing, and this is why I call mine the foundation. Every dog has to have a foundation, or they don't know how to act. Okay. And we have no control of them. You can teach a dog agility out at the airport. When I work the canines out there for the detections, they learn bomb sniffing, they learn odors, they learn all of that. Do they learn foundation work? And this is where we're starting to have the problems. These dogs are breaking down and not being able to work because they can't walk on a leash quietly. They can't sit quiet. They are known from 0 to 60. Those are those dogs constantly. But just to be a normal, nice pet, they have no idea how to do that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Makes total sense.
So let's hop on to the your training and those foundations that we're talking about.
Okay.
And you know, tone, timing, and technique. Those are really important, and the tools. Now, what I think is really interesting, and I mean, quite frankly, I think it's superior, is you don't use treats, clickers, shock collars, or anything besides tone, timing, and technique. I mean, when you came over, the only thing you brought was a training collar, and that was it.
Right.
That's right.
Yep.
That's
And
right.
a leash. I like to use the leather leashes just because they're
Right.
softer on your hand. It's just an all-purpose. When you get into a lot of the big dog sports, they're not using those cutesy things that you can buy at PetSmart. You're using a nice 6-foot long leather leash.
Yep.
And it really depends on your hands what's comfortable. So, yeah.
And one thing that I know we talked about, when you know, we'll get into more of these, but you were talking about marketing and how, well, I mean, if you're a skilled marketer, but with great power comes great responsibility. You can talk anybody into anything.
Right.
So one of the important things that is, you know, important to teach, in my case, you know, my son and just children in general, because I am a marketing expert. So it's important for me to teach him how to distinguish.
Yes.
And a big part of that is always look at who benefits from this information. That's one of the key tenets that you got to look at if you want to, in a sense, discern a little bit better the information you're being given, is understand who benefits from that information. And you mentioned you don't use treats, and a lot of the treat-based training. I never quite, you know, it's funny how, like, even as a marketer, I didn't quite put two and two together. But who benefits from treat training? It's the treat manufacturer.
Art in all the, yeah.
And the dog.
It started like 30 years ago, and it started with PetSmart. The treats did. And I worked with the corporate. One of my best friends was the GM. They didn't have any stores at that time, and they wanted me to come on and open 5 of their stores and train. And so I taught the trainers. They went out into their stores, and it was going great. I taught training the way I do it. And about 6 months into it, when I started visiting, I noticed that they were using treats. And I was like, what's going on? That doesn't work. And they're like, yeah, we know, but corporate told us that we had to do it. And so I went back to corporate and I asked, and it was the marketing department. They said, we sell treats, so we need to use them. Do you realize that that is why you can go in a PetSmart and spend, I don't know, I don't even know how much it is now, $99 or whatever for classes, and you learn absolutely nothing. Okay. But
Like goodies.
I know, but guess what? You're going to be walking out of there with 8, 9, 10 bags of food every single time you come. And that's a lot of money. That's $10, $12, $15 a bag nowadays. And that's how they did it. But this is where I tell people the reason why I just had a lady email me yesterday, and she said, I'm not coming down on you, nothing, but how do you train without using these things? And I said, because you guys have all been sold. You've all been sold on, the tools, the treats, the clickers, the prong collars, all of that. And I said, I've been training for 50 years. None of those things existed past 30 years ago.
Yep.
They did not exist. So it's like, I haven't changed my methods. I haven't had to. I know how to use everything. And there are places and times, and there are people and trainers that they feel the need to use that. Mostly I always refer back to the sheep. Okay. I'm the black sheep. All right. Just because someone says, oh, you have to do it this way, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. And so, but I was taught by my parents who trained. And again, it was at such a young age that it just automatically, and things just start. I had dogs doing things and chickens and horses. I've trained it all. Okay. I've trained little hamsters to ride around in little cars and stuff. And that was when I was 5 and 6 years old. But it's knowing that my biggest thing is when people use all this equipment, you are having to teach the new owner. Okay. And when you're teaching a new owner that they have to use a shock collar, an e-collar, prong collar, and they don't do well at it, because we have a very short time frame also for, what is it? Just like our timing is off. Our timing is terrible. There's only 1% of humans that have perfect pitch, and there's only 1% of humans that have perfect timing where they can nail it. That's your snipers and all of that. You can be trained to do it, but it's over a long period of time. When we send someone home where we have trained, usually in a board and train, and someone has trained the shock collar or the e-collar, what happens is you're now giving that tool to someone that is not proficient in using it. They have no idea. And now they're going to be correcting their dog, and their timing's going to be off. You have to be within 1 to 2 seconds to correct a dog where they understand what they're being corrected for. So I usually tell them, having a prong collar, shock collar, whatever in your household is like having a 15-year-old's birthday party and having a loaded gun sitting on that counter. Seriously, because anything can happen. It's not when, it's not if, it's when that is going to happen. And I've seen and I've talked to and I've been witness to people that will correct their dog on a shock collar, and the dog will have been fed up because it's been done at the wrong time. And that dog flips around and goes after the owner because they just had enough.
Wow.
And that's the sad part. Some of these professionals that are out there that are real professionals and know how to use them, good for you. Do what you want. I don't tell anybody how to run their business. However, think about who and what equipment you are sending home with these new owners, because it is detrimental. If it doesn't work, then somebody can get hurt. The dog, usually, if they don't respond after that, the dog goes to the shelter and usually is euthanized.
And Linda, think about this. Think about how cool it is if you go through your training, because you're great at it, right? You're fantastic. I've been through it. George's been through it. Think about how cool it is that you can use tone.
Yes.
Single word command.
Hurting anybody.
And it gets it. And you don't have to struggle with, don't do that anymore. Stop that over there. Oh, come on, don't do that. Right.
And you become a nagger.
Yeah. But I will tell people that the thing about the human side of this is we do make mistakes.
Yes.
And we tend to revert back faster than the animal does. And I'm not really sure why that is. Maybe because our feelings are different and we're built different, but we tend to revert back to, if things get out of control a little bit, then we kind of revert back because we get lazy or whatever you want to call it. We have to remind ourselves it's an ongoing process.
One thing you taught me, Linda, that was really interesting is how, and you mentioned that, Herdy, is the animal's memory is actually better than ours. And it's something that we don't quite grasp, but it's really interesting because you're right. Like it is, I was throwing this question up there because timing and tone and your voice tone are so effective.
Yes.
They're built in it's built in, right? So you don't need any external, you don't run out of it. You don't have to have Amazon overnight you a new bag of treats so you can have control of your animal. But one thing that I thought was really cool that you showed me is when you tell a dog a command and you don't repeat it, you tell them no, they revert to the last command they heard and they remember it.
They do. Well, it's recognition is what it is. And that's where people ask me all the time, well, how do your dogs remember this? Well, they don't. Their brain is set up completely different. They use all their senses. And so the way I explain it is, let's say you haven't seen your dog in 4 years and you come walking down the driveway. The first thing the dog's going to do is see you, because they can see up to 16 miles away. Usually it's always, something is in the way, but they see you, and here comes that little puzzle piece. Boom, you've got that. So they're like, okay, well, the next thing is they're going to smell you. Okay. Dogs, this is why I tell people, don't ever put your hands out to a dog to smell, to greet them. They've smelled you. They're 100 yards away.
No, you're fine.
So don't ever do that. The dogs go, whoa, you're shoving a hand in their face. And then, of course, it all reverts back to, how have you trained your dog to get treats? This is the only thing they're going to pay attention to. So if a dog is walking and now they smell you, here comes the other puzzle piece. Okay. Then what happens when you get close enough? We open our mouths and they hear our voice.
Mm-hmm.
And they recognize our tone of voice, and all those puzzle pieces come together. And then you get all the wagging and the happiness, and then our dog comes and meets us. That's how they know it's us. It's all of their senses. That's how they know who people are.
Speaking of voice, you know who is not walking into my office right now?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they hear your voice and it's going to poke and look around.
I know that feeling, Jordan. I know all about that.
And it's authority, guys. It's authority.
It is, but it works.
Exactly. And it becomes such a, oh my gosh, a big deal nowadays, because you know what? Half of the world out there doesn't even know how to parent. And I hate to say that.
You're
they don't know how to parent anymore.
100% correct.
Everybody is so passive, and they give out all the ribbons for participation, and they do all that. Nobody is taught that we, have to be who we need to be that leader. We're not taught that anymore. So it becomes such a shock to people. But yeah, that's why these dogs, it's called respect. Okay. And that I have authority. That's why I don't get all friendly with your dogs. The first thing when I come over, everybody wants to shove their dogs in my face, or they want to go, oh, this is my dog. So that's why before I go, I text them and say, potty your dog and have him in the crate before I get there.
There you go.
I'm going to sit down and discuss things with you. And I'm lessening myself by being all over and acting like you to your dogs. People should never do that. Even guests that come to your house, they need to be respectful of you and the dog. And we should put dogs up to begin with. You can let them out later, but most of the time, if you just do a meet and greet and pat the dog on the head and they're like, okay, I know who you are, and see ya, and they go lay down in the corner. Mm-hmm. So we don't need all of that. And then setting boundaries, not letting the dog race in and race out, and it's having rules. Mm-hmm. And that's where everybody has to set their own rules in their own house. I will always suggest, but some people don't want to do this or they want to do that. Well, that's fine, but get the gist of it, because believe it or not, a lot of people follow everything that I say anyway, because it works. And then they're like, oh, I guess we don't yell. We don't do this. We don't do that. And it works. And once they get used to it, it's like, oh my gosh, my dog's a completely different animal.
Yeah.
And I would go on to say about your training before we get to the next question is that, it's done right, because when you think about the easy way to train something, right? You go back to shock collar and the treats, right? That's easy. But that doesn't change the behavior, except when you do that. The in between times, it goes, it does
not.
I don't know how to explain that, but with commands and tone, you can just about look at a dog if you've got it trained right and it understands what it needs to do. I was sitting in this, we got two new chairs coming in. Our couch is gone, right? And he's like, wow, that couch is gone. Well, the other day I was sitting in one of our camping chairs, because that's what we're using until we get it delivered tomorrow. And when I was eating this morning after I came back from a meeting, he just laid down next to me, next to the chair, and didn't bother me. He didn't come over and want the food. He just come over and not laid down next to me in that position where I put my hand like this, and he went down.
Mhm.
And the cool thing about that is, I would have never thought that was possible ever with Crazy Simba.
Called respect. That is respect. That is
Yeah.
your
Well,
boundary.
he's maturing too. So does maturity have anything to do with it? Does a dog understand maturity like
Yes,
we understand it?
absolutely.
Okay.
Dog doesn't mature until 24 months,
Right.
18 to 24 months. And then you've got different breeds. Different breeds will, it's just like humans.
Right. They're different. Right. Got it.
They're 35, 40, and they still haven't grown up. And you have certain breeds like labs, and there's certain ones that I call them the Mexican jumping beans, and the other ones are just as big as couch potatoes as they are.
So Linda, before he gets to the dog psychology and this other question, something I wanted to ask you is that we want our dogs to run and get some good exercise, and we got to be safe. So we take them to dog parks, right, where are fairly nice, or we walk them. Number one, if we do go to dog parks, is there training for dogs in dog parks? Because you have all sorts of breeds of dogs. You have all sorts of kinds. Some are more assertive, aggressive than others. Are you saying walk your dog and keep it out of the dog parks? Or are you saying is it a catch? You just have to be careful, right? You just have to kind of.
No, you have to use this.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. I want to talk about this because a lot of people get nervous.
Yes.
They take their big old huge dogs to the dog park. They're mixed up with some smaller dogs, and they get nervous. So what's the protocol?
They have a big dog side and a small dog side, but
Right.
I have, and this is kind of I'm really either one way or the other. I'm pretty even. I have started up many dog parks in Texas. I've worked with the cities. I've worked with homeowners. I've worked with HOAs, all of those to set up the rules and then to set up the design to go in.
Gotcha.
Because
Perfect.
we need to have the double entry where people can come and go and dogs can't get loose and all of that kind of stuff. So you have a couple different types of people, okay? Some live in apartments and all they have is a dog park to go to. It's the only place that they can take their dog. Now, I've literally trained dogs, and I've got videos on it that it's hysterical, where the humans don't take their dog to the dog park. They walk across the street and go potty their dogs. And I'm like, no. And they said, well, we were afraid to go because our dog will be reactive, or our dog will, and the ones I'm talking about was a couple of, there was a husky and a old English sheepdog, I think it was. And they said, our dogs are reactive to these other dogs and nobody likes us down there and blah, 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 blah. And I go, well, then let's fix it. Let's fix it. So the one main thing I tell everyone is before you go into a dog park, know what's going on in that dog park before you enter.
There you go.
Look at the humans. Okay. Is there a young girl over in the corner texting?
Yeah, not paying attention.
Shih Tzu is all over the place. Or is there a big, gruff, burly guy in there that, is all tatted up or whatever, and he's got his dog with the spike collar that automatically goes to the gate every single time a dog comes in, because guess what? Every single dog that goes into the dog park sets hierarchy. Hierarchy is set every single time.
Oh, God.
So when a dog goes in, hierarchy has to be reset. When a dog goes out, it gets reset.
That's crazy.
So when people say, oh, my dog got wore out at the dog park, yeah, because he's stressed out. Okay? Totally stressed out because all of this is happening. Now, there are some dogs that don't have a clue. and they just go in there and bounce around and they're fine. But if you look at the human that owns them, you get it. Okay.
Right. Gotcha.
Totally get it. There's no rules, no this, no that. And they're just whoa all over the place. Okay.
Gotcha.
But what I do is I will take a dog. Now, I never take it in the first session or anything. It will always be towards the end where I know the dog is listening to me, knows how to come into front brain, because this is front brain, hind brain, what you're dealing with when you go into a dog park. All those dogs running, that's all hind brain. That's all instinct. They are what they are. Okay. There's no training involved in any of that. They're in front brain. You come in, you want your dog in front brain, paying attention to you. First thing I do, I walk that dog the whole perimeter around the dog park on leash. Now, when I'm walking, do I have other dogs that want to race up to my dog? Yes. So what you have to do is be authoritative, be the leader, and tell them, no, go. But you keep walking with your dog, and you keep your dog in front brain. Because remember, they either are in front brain paying attention to you or in hind brain, worrying about everything else going on around them. They can't be in both places at the same time. So when we're walking and the dog, he's still got him in front brain, these other dogs go, you're no fun. And they run up and never come back. They never come back. And I show people this. I've got one video of a 6-month-old poodle that is in a dog park. And there's this, what is it? I think it's a case hound that they're real fluffy and gray and have tails that flip over. And they're a medium to big dog. And it was a female, and she just bulldozed every dog in there. And people would complain about it all the time. I finally had some words with her and explained that it was her dog causing the problems. She wasn't real happy, but this dog, every time someone would come in, this dog would race over and roll it around and knock it over and do all that. And she'd call the dog off, and then she'd praise it, which that's where when you're doing that and then you throw a ball, you're praising that dog for doing what it just did. Okay. So
there's no win, Jordan.
So this little poodle, he learned, downs and stays and sits and everything. And I had him on a long line, which I usually use a 50-foot long line. I put him out, put him in a sit and stay, and I walked off. And that dog zoomed past him and kept trying to get his attention and everything. And then the other dogs came in and they'd run past him. He just sat there because I kept him in front brain. And every time he wanted to do something, it was, I got his attention, and he's like, oh, okay. And he was perfectly fine to just sit there. But that's where you have to learn about the dog parks. If you have a choice, I prefer not. But then because there's a lot of bacteria, all of that, those places are not clean. Okay. Wow. And the minute you walk in there, it's on your shoes. You're going to take it home. It's going to be in your house. It's on your dog's feet. That's where they get sick. Okay. They're usually not kept up. But then you get the people that want to walk their dogs all the time. And I pretty much say, you don't need to do that. Do not make it a habit. Don't do it every day. A couple times a week is fine. We overwork our dogs. Okay. We overwalk our dogs. I've got people calling me, puppies are, 10, 12, 14 weeks old, 6 months old or whatever. And they're walking them miles at a time. And it's like, no. Do you realize that we didn't even have joint supplements 20 years ago?
Yeah.
What are we doing to our dogs? I mean, I have a friend that has a 2-year-old Old English sheepdog. Walked him for 6 miles every single day.
Not necessary.
Stop. And I had a real heavy conversation with them because they have a 2-year-old dog on joint supplements. Do you know what that does to their kidneys and their livers? It's terrible. It overworks them. So I said, once, twice, maybe 3 times a week, take him down the end of the ball. This is Old English sheepdogs are not agile. Okay. Yes, they will, but he likes to walk. No, he likes to be with you. And they will put themselves, I mean, because I raised the Belgian Malinois and stuff, and those dogs will work until they fall down dead for you. Is it good for them? No. And so you have to be the smart one as the human and know what your dog's limits are. Walking all the time is not good. And what you're doing is creating a habit. So if you do walk them, you need to do it at different times, different directions, and make sure that it's not, well, the biggest thing is the different times, not only a different day of the week, and lessen it. Because if it rains and you can't go walk your dog, how are you going to sit down and explain that to your dog? Do not understand.
Mine
We
doesn't
can't go
care.
today because it's raining, okay?
Mine goes out.
So that's where our dogs go nuts inside. And that's where, oh, they have cabin fever if it's been, bad weather for a while or whatever. We need to do other things rather than just walking. Most dogs are perfectly fine in the house, in your backyard. That's all the walking they need to do. They're
So
not
Jordan,
weights.
so Linda, we're bumping into 1 hour and 11 minutes. Time
Okay.
flies. Jordan, what else you got that's pretty important you want to go over?
Yeah, well, we're definitely talking about dog psychology and behavior.
Yeah.
Big one that I have for you, Linda, because you understand the breeds, is I love to understand how much of a dog's behavior is their nature, like their instinct, their breed,
Yep.
and how much is the nurture, right? Like the owner's leadership or lack of thereof that impacts the dog's behavior. Because from what I understand from talking to you, depending on the breed, you get a very different behavior.
Right. Correct. I mean, so when I was young, the first thing that my parents taught me was to, and this is what I do for my trainers, I tell them, first off, go get the AKC handbook and learn all the breeds. Learn what their natural instincts are. Again, you have to know what breed they are, what they were bred to do. You have lots of herding dogs, but what are they doing? You have lots of retrievers, but they all are based on something. They all do something specifically. We like to just wrap them in, and that's not how it is. Once you know that, and once you understand that, if I was called today and a client said, I have this breed of dog and I didn't know what it was, that's the first thing I would do, is look it up in the AKC handbook and find out what is their normal instincts when it comes to this breed. Okay. I want to know that. Usually I know that before I talk to them on the phone. That's the first thing I ask. What breed do you have? Then once you know the breed and know what that breed was bred to do, then you want to find out, is it male or female? And then what sex is it? Or, male or female, but then if they're spayed or neutered or not. And then what the age is on the dog, because that will determine what I'm going to look for when I go in, how that dog's going to react to me. If I have a dog that is what they're saying aggressive or reactive, and it's a 4 or 5 year old dog, that's a lot of years of learned behavior. Okay. So I'm going to really have to watch some things when I go in there, because that is something that dog has repeated over. It doesn't mean it's instinct. It's learned. It's that if they've done it and no one has said no to it, they go, oh, I won. Oh, it worked. I'm going to continue to do it. And sometimes they up the ante. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you've got to know what that is. If it's a young dog, I'm like, I can change that right away. I can change those types of things. So it does matter. It does matter on what breed and how that dog's brain is working, and then get them over into front brain right away, so you have control.
And for what are some good breeds for unexperienced dog trainers, or I guess unexperienced owners that are just now getting into the training space? Like, what are some of the easier breeds, and then what are some of the don't get this unless you're like pro level?
Well, and I always advocate for my breed because of the Belgian Malinois and the Cane Corsos and the Dutch Shepherds and Rottweilers and all of those kind of stuff. They are very, very quick to learn, very quick to learn. But it's got to be 24/7. You've got to be in control of that dog. Okay. You get into the golden retrievers and, all of those types of dogs, which there are thousands out there. They are probably, I think they're known as the #1 biter right now. And it's because they are retrievers and they are a soft-mouthed retriever. They are the dog that carries things in their mouth. My dog, I have golden retrievers and they carry my groceries in to the house. Okay. They carry my mail from the mailbox. They always want something in their mouth. So children's hands, toys, any of those things come into, and that's where we go, oh, look, a dog that licks you, a dog that they're so soft, but they're so needy. Goldens are very needy, but then you learn who the people are that own them. And let me tell you, I want to shoot myself half the times when I go out on an event for Goldens, and I've told you this, Jordan, it's that you walk out of there going, oh, stiff drink after that, because gotta love them, okay? But they're very passive owners, very passive. And so it's, if your dog yelps or if you're too much this or that, they're, oh, all of that. Are you hurting my dog? Is it okay? Can I I mean, when can I go do that? And I've had people that literally through the whole training, and then they're like, I say, any last questions before I leave this time? And they go, when can I go kiss my dog? And I'm like, holy moly. And that's the only thing that they've been focused on through the whole thing. So new dog trainers, it's really like I said, just like Amy that I'm here with right now, she's one of my best trainers because she never owned a dog before I trained her. And so I'm able to go into her, and she's fantastic. She gets it because she's not just pulled in all sorts of different directions, by which I get a lot, where people will say, oh, well, that's not how I learned it, or this is how I learned it, and it's hard for me to change, and blah, blah, blah. It's not. It's just, I tell people, just clear your slate. But the dog trainers, I usually find out what their background is. And if they've had certain breeds, a lot of them think that if they've been able to train their own dogs at home, that they now become dog trainers. And that is not true. That's just like me teaching you, Jordan. You know your dogs and you can train your dogs. You put other 15 dogs in front of you, I doubt it will happen. That's why me teaching other people how to train, even though I show them everything, most people cannot go on and train other dogs.
Well, that's what happened with me. I had a not a golden retriever, border collie. She's a border collie mix, incredibly intelligent animal. Like, just the intelligence on that dog was just next level, and she was really easy to train. So I had her trained really well.
Easy, yes.
Super respectful. Always kept a radius around me. I could, I used to call her a wireless dog because I was able to have her next to me as if I had a leash, and she would just do everything as if on a leash. Just have to have one, and it was so easy that I thought I was good with dogs, and then I got this one, so I'm like, I don't know.
And a lot of that is instinct. That's their instinct, because remember, front brain is only for 4 seconds until you train them to be there longer. When they go back to hindbrain and it's instinct, it's what is built into them. So you have to know what that breed is and what it was bred to do. That is key.
What are some breeds that you would caution somebody inexperienced or maybe somebody elderly, like some of the more difficult ones that can you should probably think twice before you get it?
I'm elderly.
No, but your dog is fine. I just had a client that was referred to me from another trainer in our area that is wonderful. We have the same mythology. However, he trains completely different than I do. The owner had asked to meet with me because they were unsure. They're, I believe, in their late 70s. And the other trainer got them this dog from a puppy. However, it is a Dutch Shepherd. And a Dutch Shepherd is a working dog. Now, I own Malinois, and there's some that are the biggest couch potatoes, the same with the Dutch Shepherds. However, this dog was from a working line. And this dog now, even though he works him, he can't take his eyes off of him. And I went over there and I worked with him because he is a dog that if he didn't have him on a leash, he would come over and bite you. Bottom line. I mean, there's no stopping it. And most of the time he's perfectly fine, but it's that 1% that he will react, and that guy can barely hold on to him. And he was taught how to use a prong collar. And I said, that is not going to save you. A prong collar will not save you. And I showed him how to use my collar. And the dog worked a lot better on him. It was getting him more into front brain more often. But I don't care how much training. This dog does everything. He's like a little robot, does everything for this man. But it's that once that dog's in hindbrain and this guy's not paying attention, that dog will react. He's bit his wife. He's bit his son. He's bit numerous people in his household. He is a loaded gun. And that is a dog that, unfortunately, it's not a good fit. And so it's really the lifestyle that you live. I have a Cane Corso, sweetest dog in the world. He is just a big, okay, 130 pounds. Sweetest dog. Someone comes to my house.
Not so
Not
sweet.
the sweetest.
He is on that front porch and he will not budge. You are not moving him. He's not going to jump for you, but he's not moving. Okay. Which is perfectly fine because I know how to handle him. Now, when he's in a playful mood and he does his spins, he'll knock you into tomorrow because he's so big. And that's what scares me is when he's that happy, playful dog. Other dogs you get into.
Hey, Linda, one of our chatters asked about shepherds. I know there's a whole bunch of different kinds of
German Shepherd.
Well, it didn't say German. It could be an Aussie. I mean,
so
German
Shepherds. Again, what lines are you getting the dog from?
Right.
Lines are really, really important. If you're getting them off of Craigslist or something else, you don't know. But having that dog trained as soon as possible will allow you to control that dog. Okay.
Gotcha.
That is really, really important. Not treat training, all of that. I'm talking about my training. Then you learn to control that dog, but that's training the human. So then any dog that you bring in, you should be able, but it's like, what is your lifestyle? You know, how do you live? Where do you go? What do you want to do with your dog in the next 5 to 10 years? Those are all the questions that I ask. And a lot of people come to me before they get a puppy. So they know, you know, what's a good fit for them. Then you've got your little dogs. You know, and everybody wants to tote around the little dogs. And you just can't do that. They've got to become dogs. I had a 2.5 pound Chihuahua that she would run with my Great Dane and my Aussies and Goldens and the Malinois and everybody. She didn't have a problem. If they got too close, she got quick. She would, you know, maneuver between them. But I never put her in the position of always being up. Because they get that whole possessive thing going also, where if she had another dog come up and she growled, she'd go back down on the floor. I wouldn't tolerate that. And that's where we have that tendency. We're more of that, get a cat. I tell people, get a cat. But you want to be that person that always has the dog in your lap, blah, 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 blah. You still have to train them. They do not need to be up on your bed or on your furniture all the time. You've got to limit these. Now, if you invite, that's fine, but just jumping up is invading. And so you want to set rules in your household. And that, again, like I said, I will always suggest things, but I always work with people in their own households.
So, Linda, we're bumping into 1 hour and 25 minutes. We probably need to wind down a little bit. One of the last questions on here, Jordan's playing with his dog. It's a early thing. Is because so many people are used to gadget training, and try to answer this fairly quickly. What do you show them to win them over? Right? What you obviously you've been through this enough where people have called you after the gadget training, or they're not sure how to train and they're wondering why you don't use food like you see people. So what do you do? What do you say to win them over? I know what you told us, so I'll let you answer that though.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the minute I walk in the door, I mean, you both know this. The minute I walk in the door, I have authority. Yep. Usually dogs that would come over, because I get a lot of clients that will say, oh, my dog's going to race up, because I'll say, we've already sat down and discussed things. I've already taught them the 3 T's. We're already discussing everything going forward, which is about an hour. When we finally go to work with the dog, everything happens immediately. So that dog that would race out and jump on me might come up and go to sniff me, and I'll correct it and then praise it for backing out of my space. And they'll sit down and salute me. It's like night and day. And I have to go around and lift everybody's jaws up off the floor, because this stuff happens immediately. Mm-hmm. Once the first session, a lot of times I fix the issues in the first session, but I have to now train the human. Mm-hmm. And that is my biggest goal, is to train the human. 99.9% of dog trainers out there do not know how to train a human.
You're right.
Nor did they get in the business of dog training to train humans.
Oh my gosh.
It's the number one thing.
Jordan, does this sound familiar?
Know how to train humans.
Yeah.
Even if I gotta come up and smack you in
I mean, based on what I'm hearing so far, Jordan and I sound like we were exactly the same boat when you came along, because I was exactly the same way, dude. So I get that, you know.
Yeah, it's seeing is believing, okay? And I can talk and tell you and everything else and market myself as much, but I'm there not to take money from you. Granted, I want to get paid, but the biggest thing is I still have the passion to fix these dogs and fix the humans and have harmony in the household.
And so you have a website too, right?
Yes. And we're redoing a lot of stuff on the website.
That's fine. So am I.
Good Canine.
Jordan's laughing. So am I.
Yeah. Yeah. Ongoing.
Yeah. It's goodcanine.com, and it really, she has good citizen site too. It does some different things she needs to explain, right? It's a different, I get it.
The Canine Good Citizen is AKC. I was one of the first trainers to evaluate dogs and set that. My training is so much more than that. I mean, people freak out when I tell them I'm going to test for the CGC. And I'm like, you guys are way past the CGC. I don't do a lot of it anymore, because realistically, they have a lot of trainers out there that don't train these dogs, and they're passing them. And there's no, what do I want to say? Once you have it, and a dog can go out and bite somebody the next day, and they don't take it back from you. And I get a lot of research, that type of thing, but it's just not worth what it used to be. Yeah. So I don't do a lot of them. It really doesn't matter. It's just like the schools, you know, the ABC, the Animal Behavior College and all that. They haven't changed their methodology for, oh gosh, I don't know how long. They wanted me to work for them. And I said no, because they do treats and clickers and pitch collars and shock collars. And, All that will give you is a certificate for a $12.50 job. You do not need that to become a dog trainer. You
Gotcha.
need to get in with people that know what they're doing.
Well, I think Jordan did an excellent job today diving
Yeah.
into the different aspects of how we are with our dogs and how our dogs are with us, right? So I will tell you, Linda is in the Dallas Fort Worth area on the Fort Worth side. Hire her to
I
come.
go all the way to Waco,
I know you
all
do. I
the way
mean,
to
and
Waco,
you can go rescue dogs,
to West. I've
rescue
got it.
dogs in A&M and places. And I mean, she doesn't care about that. What I mean, she does depending on the weather. And several times we've had to do weather forecasts together,
Yeah,
driving home late at night.
yeah.
Uh, but the cool thing is that you will not you will be amazed. Number one, that to me I was that how quickly that can change, and don't be scared.
And then the nutrition. I mean, I have a
Yes,
nutritional
and that part
background.
of it
I've
too,
got
right?
so many things that come with my training that
Yep,
I got people calling me at midnight from Wisconsin because
right.
they were referred to me about something that happened to their dog, and
That's true.
literally we're best friends now because I talk to them on the phone all the time because
Yep,
I
and
help them fix their dog.
that's true. And that's a cool thing. So Jordan, any final thoughts or
Go
Just
on to my
from
Facebook.
personal experience, just the speed with which everything happens is quite amazing.
Mhm.
It takes time and it takes training and practice to get the human portion down.
yeah. Yeah.
That is,
You
Yes.
think?
yeah, but it's one of the things that is worth highlighting, right?
It
Like
is.
this part of this training is not going to be your dog; it's going to be you.
I'm not the most mature person with mine, but I will tell you that over time, being scolded enough by Yvonne and staying in line, that
Or me if I see you doing something
yeah, and she will, and that's fine. And the bottom line is, some of us are better at doing this than others, and
yeah.
so me, it's not always about discovery. It's simply about I got to put this learning into effect, right? And it's knowledge I've learned.
Hey,
So
if it saves a dog from going to a shelter, which I work
absolutely,
with so
amen,
many shelters, and I don't go
amen.
in and work with the dogs. I go in and work with the people on staff, the volunteers, the fosters. I teach the humans. It's like that old saying that you can have a fish or whatever. How does that go? And
Right,
you can eat it for one meal, but if I teach you how to fish, then
you're
that's
better off. Right,
I don't go in and train the dogs in the shelters. I mean, I do, but I'm
right,
training the humans
right.
so they can fix a whole lot of dogs in a day.
Yeah,
And because that's where the dogs come back is they go out, they jump on somebody, they do something, just little stuff.
yeah.
And because they're not a perfect dog, they get sent back.
Mhm.
So that's where we deal with all of that.
And
All
the
right.
peace of mind that goes with that. I mean, like I was, it's funny because both of my dogs had problems with personal space, so that was one of the things we started addressing. And I try to get Georgie to come on camera. He didn't want to do it. It's like, no,
Yeah.
come on, yes, you're invited. Come up here, and he just couldn't get up.
Yeah.
No, that's enough. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can hear her. But the peace of mind is the big one, right? Like again, Georgie, I wish I could have brought him here so you could see his size. So our audience can see him. He's giant.
Yes.
The level
He
of
is.
stress it gave me when people would come in here because he wasn't friendly.
Right.
Like we knew
It
enough.
wasn't that he wasn't friendly, he was unsure. Our
Exactly.
dogs are not scared. They're not, I mean, I get calls all the time, single women, they say, my dog doesn't like men. It has nothing to do with liking men. It's that men are seen as the head of household and authoritative, and they're used to running the show. They don't want somebody new coming in that's authoritative.
Yeah.
So, but they're unsure on things.
Yeah.
We can fix it. That's all learned behavior.
And
That's
that
not instinct.
is what I think. Like it's the biggest just peace of mind, right? Like because he was unsure, I was unsure of him, and I'm like, if this dog does something,
Yep.
nothing at this size is small. So I was very hesitant in, that's what we called you. It's like, we got to do something about this.
Yeah.
Have people come over and have such peace of mind. Like, I don't even worry about it. And honestly, I hadn't thought about it until just now. It's like, wait, that was a huge, like, I'm talking about my heart's pounding. Like, I don't know what this dog's going to do.
And you took him to Home Depot.
Yeah, man, that was
Fine. It's like,
that was the funniest thing that afternoon when we were talking after the show. He goes, "Oh my God, I gotta go home."
And I mean, but at first they were like, both of them were unsure.
yeah.
Or, not. And I'm like,
Like,
get in your head and get it that it has to be perfect every single time. And you're not going, because just like if we allow a dog to sit incorrectly, if we do it just because we don't want to mess with it and I'm tired of it and I don't want to, no, you have to. Because if you allow them to sit incorrectly and you yes them or whatever afterwards, then that dog thinks that that's where they need to be every time.
Yeah.
We've got to fix it and make it. We've got to see it in our head before we do it, so we know that we're following through. So yeah, I mean, by the end, those dogs, they were like as happy as can be.
I know, it was just so easy. Just now, Amazon can, now you got to give a password to Amazon if you order something over $100. Like, you got to give them
Okay.
code. So just here they came in. They bark once. I told them quiet. They're quiet. Told them to go to the kennels.
Released their control that they
That's
had
right.
back to you because you are the authoritative. You're the leader.
I gave them a password, shut it, opened the kennels, came back here in a live show. It took me seconds. It's like, this is amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Okay, so bear with us. But hey, yes, we are on a Tuesday special today, talking to Linda Konrad, your canine behavior specialist, and goodcanine.com. Go check out our website. More than that,
And my Facebook. Don't forget my Facebook.
Well, we're going to post your Facebook link inside the description. Once I get this revamped tonight, I'll send you a copy. But Linda, sit tight with us when we're over. We want to make sure your recording purpose gets uploaded to our server, and let everybody know it's a Tuesday special. Yes, we are on this Thursday. We are on with Darren Gomez, who is going to talk about home insulation. And with it getting hot, really hot, this is the time of year when people start seeing their air conditioning bill go up because they don't have the proper insulation. So we're going to bring him on because we're going in summer, and he thought this would be a good time to touch base. So Thursday we'll be on with Darren Gomez and Koala Insulation. He's part of a franchise, and we'll be dropping him in. So Linda, thank you very much. Sit tight with us. Guys, we'll see you Thursday. Thanks for a couple of chats we had on there. We realized we caught people off guard today, but we got a great Linda will get you the on-demand version later today. So y'all have a good day. We'll see you Thursday, 2:00.
Bye, y'all.